Hi and welcome to Indian Road. We're bringing you this particular show not from Concho, Oklahoma, or even from Oklahoma City. Take a look over here. Yes, that is beautiful Denver, Colorado. You see the beautiful skyline with snow-capped mountains in the background. And you know, when you see snow-capped mountains, you are not in Oklahoma City anymore, not in Oklahoma anymore. This show is all about our Denver road trip out here to visit the Denver March Powwow. We're going to tell you all about that, show you some great dancing, some great interviews. We'll also visit with Ben Jacobs and Matt Chandra, co-owners of Tocabe, an American Indian Eatery. They're doing great work with not one but two locations here in the Denver area, doing great work, making big news in Indian country. But first, you know, getting to Denver, Colorado from the Oklahoma City area is no simple task. It takes more than a little bit of time. Here's a quick look at how CATV 47 got here. There was a lot of driving involved and a lot of rain, but there was nice scenery too. You don't get to see stuff like this in Oklahoma. From the Denver Coliseum, you have a great view, not just of the mountains, but of the hundreds of people lined up to get into the Denver March Powwow.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming into the arena.
Denver March is Colorado's largest powwow, with over 1,000 dancers and close to 50 drums. Tribes from all over the United States and Canada are represented here, and the first day's grand entry filled the Coliseum floor. Well, we made it here to Denver March. We stopped in at Tocabe, American Indian Eatery this morning. We'll tell you all about that story later on, but right now we were at the Denver Coliseum. You can hear the crowd going nuts. We just finished up some intertribals. Now it's time for some serious competition. You really can't get much more serious than the Tiny Tots, so let's take a look at that. The Tiny Tots dance category is always a favorite. You can see the pure joy on the kids' faces, and you can almost pick out future dance champions. We'll get back to the dancing in a few minutes, but in case you didn't know, Denver March Powwow also hosts a large number of vendors. You can find food, clothing, and jewelry, and everything in between.
Tried to find a way to bring our native culture into the modern day world and inform our young people about our history a little bit, but I wanted to do it in a way that would interest them in what we do and what we're all about. So I started making coasters and putting photographs on different things, finding posters of our elders and people that came before us, our ancestors. And these are some of the things that I started out doing, and hopefully my craft is evolving.
Here's the most popular one we got. It's called Native Americans Discovered Columbus. Really historical, you know, we got a kind of educational. We sell them in kid sizes now because I think that's pretty bad, you know, to have the kids wearing them and stuff. But it just kind of hits you, and it's really bold graphic. You can see them from far away, and I've gotten a lot of comments about it.
Like what?
Good and bad. A lot of natives laugh and are entertained by it, but then there's some people that get really mad. We got a guy, he's kind of got his mouth covered, sort of dripping away. It's just sort of a take on the modern native person and how the media sort of blurs us out to non-existence. But it's obvious that we are still here and that we're still doing our thing. We got sleeve hits, more of the Navajo type inspired geometric patterns, OXDX, and kind of a tagline. And we push this thing called Don't Trend on Me. It's kind of like off Don't Tread on Me. And it's really about hitting just how pop culture has been trending on natives. It's big within Urban Outfitters, it's big within regular popular retailers. And I just want to make a point that, you know, our culture isn't trendy. It's not something to trend on. Like my logo is a Navajo wedding basket. And it opens because the basket always opens, and it opens to the east because the basket always opens to the east. So I know this, and I can tell people when they ask about it, and I think it's like people should know the history behind the art, and art should have meaning like that.
All right, we've been checking out all different parts of the 2015 Denver March Powwow. I'm here now with Christian Parrish, aka Supaman. Man, it's great to see you. You know, I missed you in Oklahoma. I know you've come there 2 or 3 times. I missed it every time. Caught up with you in Denver. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, just going. You know, traveling like a madman, just left and right. We were in Riverside. You know, we did Riverside School, which was awesome, man.
It's not far from us. Yeah.
Yeah, just right around the corner there. So we're on there. We're actually on a tour right now called the I Rap for Change tour. So we hit Riverside and then went to Berkeley, UC Berkeley down in California, and that's where we did Google. Got invited to do Google, so it was amazing. Yeah.
And home is Montana, right?
Yep. The Absalogat Nation Crow Reservation right there in good old Montana.
Okay, I've got to admit, I really didn't know much about Superman until I saw I was on Facebook, and everybody I know shared that the MTV Artist of the Week thing, and I said, guys, come here, and all of a sudden it just blew up. I'm sure for you that just changed everything, right?
Yeah, that was the game changer right there. You know, that was the big move. You know, I've been doing this for like 10 years, you know, doing hip hop music, reaching out, youth empowerment, you know, suicide prevention work, as well as drug and alcohol prevention, you know, healthy choices, things of that sort. And when we did that video, you know, we auditioned for America's Got Talent, didn't make it, but we made the video, what I was trying to do there, and it started going viral, and just, it went beyond the native, you know, like the native realm, you know. I'm always like for the people, or, you know, in that realm of being native and reaching out to the people that way. But this, after doing the video, it was like beyond, you know, like people from Europe, you know, from Rome, all over, different people were sharing it, like Michelle Rodriguez, you know, from the Fast and Furious, she shared it. One of the band members from The Doors, you know, old school band, they shared it. Just like people left and right, professional rodeo people were sharing it, and it was just amazing to see the reception, you know, of the videos.
And the thing is, you know, like I said, you struck a chord, man, not with just native folks, but with, you know, people who like good music, people who like something new, something fresh. I mean, what do you think it was that grabbed people, man? I mean, it's obviously, if you felt it, you know, I did. Everybody I knew who watched it said, "Oh, you got it." What do you think it was?
I think it was just the realness of the video. You know, that video in itself is my identity. You know, like that just embodies my whole identity. You know, as a native, you know, as an Absalogat, you know, a father, a husband, my spirituality, as well as hip hop. You know, all the talents that I do, like to dance like this. You know, just, you know, yeah, whatever, you know, scratching, you know, the elements of hip hop, dancing, fancy dancing, you know, beatbox, and then, of course, you know, the emceeing, rapping, you know. And so it's like my whole identity just in one my whole identity in one shot, you know, in one video. And I think that in itself created that realness where people are like, man, that's something, you know, that's something new. I never seen that before, you know, that's special.
I know you get to travel all over the place. You were just talking, you know, you named off a few of them. You get to talk to the kids, you know, Indian kids. I mean, what's your message to those kids?
My message is have a relationship with the Creator, you know. That's the foundational message that I try to, you know, get out there, you know, to the people is like, man, when you pray, when you have, because that's our foundation as natives, you know, that's our foundation, I feel, as a human being, is our relationship with the Creator, our prayer life. And once you have that, you know, man, you know, things start happening. You know, things start happening. He'll guide you and just direct your steps. Whether you have big dreams, you know, to do in life, he'll help you do them. You know, like, that's what I try to tell him, like, you can do it.
On this Denver-themed show, we thought we'd share some of our Sand Creek commemoration experience with you. 2014 was the 150th anniversary of the Sand Creek Massacre, and the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes joined their northern brothers and sisters to honor their ancestors. Here's a look at the healing run into Denver and Governor Hickenlooper's address on the Capitol steps.
help by not firing on our old people at Sand Creek. And he was assassinated here in this area because he was testifying against Chivington, providing testimony against Chivington. And in his honor and his memory, we placed a plaque on this building.
Good to see everybody here. And it's good to especially see the young kids. You know, these little kids here that are participating, because they're the ones that are going to carry this on and continue this.
Just think about why we're here, and we all are here for something, and this is our ancestors, remembering our ancestors.
I know they all have some connection because we're all Cheyenne and Arapaho, and we all had people that perished during that event, that massacre. So it's a good feeling to be here.
It's been a good week. A lot of good things happening. You know, we're all going to get blessed. All the runners here, all the Cheyennes, Rapahos, Northern Cheyennes, Rapahos too. You know, it's a good thing what we're doing here.
I think it's the energy here that it's just a beautiful thing today. We're showing our support for the 150th Sand Creek Memorial, the massacre, and I think that it touched a lot of people, and that's why everybody's here showing support. And I'm just humbled and honored to be a part of it.
Our sacred way of life they followed. Those that were camped at Sand Creek. Respect and honor it, remember it, follow it. Respect each other. Our way of life. Lifeways are sacred.
I want to give special thanks and recognition to the Sand Creek Spiritual Healing Runners who are here this morning. From their starting point at Sand Creek, outside Eads, Colorado, to the state capitol, they have traveled a distance of roughly 180 miles. That's a remarkable feat. At times, I expect some of them, at times they experienced pain. I'm sure at times some of them thought about giving up. But of course, these are not just any runners. They are representatives of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes, and they most definitely did not give up. These runners offered up their pain and sacrifices, their pain and struggles, a relatively small sacrifice, as a tribute to the Arapaho and Cheyenne indigenous people who woke to and were murdered in an unthinkable nightmare 150 years ago this past November. When the attacks began and the shots rang out, Black Kettle exited his tent and he raised a pole with the American flag on it. The flag had been presented to him by the Commissioner of Indian Affairs in Washington. So there could be no misunderstanding, Chief Black Kettle also raised a white flag. But the bullets kept coming and Black Kettle retreated. Another Chief White Antelope ran toward the commanders. A member of the U.S. forces later testified that White Antelope held up his hands and shouted, "Stop, stop," speaking in plain, clear English. As the firing intensified, White Antelope folded his arms and calmly began to chant what would become his death song. Nothing lives long except the earth and the mountains. In 1865, the Joint Committee on the Conduct of the War, looking back on the starts of the Plains War, determined that the truth was that Colonel Chivington, and I quote, surprised and murdered in cold blood the unsuspecting men, women, and children on Sand Creek who had every reason to believe they were under the protection of the United States authorities, end quote. Today we gather here to formally acknowledge what happened, the massacre at Sand Creek. And we should not be afraid to criticize and condemn that which is inexcusable. So I'm here to offer something that has been too long in coming, and on behalf of the state of Colorado, I want to apologize. And I don't make that apology lightly. I talked to all the living former governors of Colorado that stretches back 40 years, and each one of them agrees and in spirit is standing here beside me. Governor Lamb commented that two of the most powerful words in the English language are "I'm sorry." To the runners, to the tribal leaders, and to all of the indigenous people, and the proud and painful legacy that you all represent, on behalf of the good and peaceful, the loving people of Colorado, I want to say I am sorry for the atrocities of our government and its agent that were visited upon your ancestors. Today, as these runners complete their 16th annual Sand Creek Spiritual Healing Run, I want to assure you that we will not run from its history, and that we will always work for peace and healing, and we will make sure that this history continues to be told.
Denver March Powwow was a great time to meet people involved in Native projects.
It was good to have the locals working with us on the project because they take more ownership in the final product. And
The Stronghold Society, along with Pearl Jam bassist Jeff Ament,
I was like, dude, enough talk. Yeah. Let's, like, next year we're going to build something there.
and the Tony Hawk Foundation are on a mission to build skate parks for Native youth across Indian country.
Stronghold Society and Wounded Knee Skateboards, together, we support our youth through what we call a Live Life movement. It's a Live Life call to action, really, is what it is. And we try to empower and inspire them through skateboarding, music, art, design, film, photography, whatever creative, expressive means that we can, to empower them to live life.
It was an artist named John Pearson, and he came up with some graphics. This is one of the graphics. It is a Good Day to Die graphic. And with each of these graphics, we put in the story. We tell people about who Crazy Horse is, Tashunkawetko, and what Good Day to Die means. So what the purpose of this skateboard company too, it's an educational initiative. I wanted to educate kids about Native history. Later on, I hooked up with Walt Pooyer. He started doing graphics for us in that same style John did. So we did a Black Elk graphic, and he's related to Black Elk. Olivia Black Elk was Walt Pooyer's grandmother. So Walt does this graphic in honor of Black Elk, and we also give you a history of who Black Elk is and Black Elk's story. So here again, we're educating kids, and with everything we sell these boards, we're giving back to the kids out on Pine Ridge who ride the skateboard park.
I am from Oglala Lakota country, Pine Ridge, South Dakota. And that's where we built our first skate park, you know, with the help of Pearl Jam up there. And the skate park now has 100 kids a day at it, where we try to keep them on skateboards and keep them moving. So we go up there to empower the kids and hang out with them at the skate park. And kind of, it's really about a mindset change, you know. While we're there, we talk about other things, about who they are as the seventh generation, the age of the daughter prophecies and stuff like that. So there's other things going on at the skate park too, other than just the skateboarding.
Well, I grew up skateboarding. Skateboarding saved my life when I was growing up. I toured the world skateboarding in the 80s. I was pro for the Alba team. So I knew what skateboarding could do for me. So when me and Andy came up with the Wounded Knee concept, I knew that this could be a life-saving program. We didn't know how we were going to pull it off. We never made any money. I'm still not making that much money, but I hooked up with the right people who believed in what we thought and agreed with us, like Jeff Met from Pearl Jam. He grew up skateboarding too, so Jeff's like, yeah, let's do this. So I don't know, man, it's just a vision I had, and it was something I was hoping could happen, but it's happening.
Denver March began in 1974 as a weekly event associated with the Denver Indian Center, and by 1975 it had become the Youth Enrichment Powwow. Today, Denver March Powwow Inc. is an international brand with a yearly attendance averaging 50,000. This powwow attracts over 1,000 dancers, representing nearly 100 tribes, close to 40 states, and another half dozen Canadian provinces. In 2004, Denver March set an international record of 73 drum groups registered. The Denver March Powwow has evolved into 3 major events: an arts and crafts show featuring almost 200 booths.
Oh, did you see these? We have them on leather.
A music festival with drum groups from all over the country. And a dance competition for all ages. It's the dancing that makes Denver March such a visual treat. The Coliseum floor seems to come alive during grand entry. Jingle dresses, fancy shawls, grass dancers, traditional, cloth, and fancy dancers combine to form a beautiful living kaleidoscope of color.
Thank you, singers. How about another big round of applause for
Nowadays, there's Ethiopian restaurants, there's Korean restaurants, there's Chinese restaurants, Italian restaurants, you name it. There's every kind of restaurant, but we didn't feel like there was a presence for native food. And so we wanted to create that and create the environment, and then hope that it created that excitement within the people.
Tocabe American Indian Eatery started as a dream of 2 college kids.
We had no understanding of what could happen if you fail.
We love food, and we had both worked in restaurants for a long time, and so we were comfortable in a restaurant environment.
Longtime friends Ben Jacobs and Matt Chandra started Tocabe just 8 years ago. Ben is from Denver, but has strong Oklahoma ties.
I still have aunts, uncles, cousins that live in Oklahoma, in Pawhuska, Bartlesville, Tulsa area. So I spent a lot of time out there. I spent all my summers there with my grandparents when I was younger. I mean, I grew up here, but it has this sense of belonging when I'm there. It's just a community that we've always been a part of, something that my mother always ingrained in us of, that's where we go back to when we need to be with our family.
Matt's also from Denver. He spent so much time with Ben's family that he became a kind of adopted son.
And through that, I learned a lot about his culture and had the opportunity to go to his dances in Oklahoma and Pawhuska for the Osage Nation. And that's where I really started to fall in love with the cuisine, with the culture, with his family. And that kind of started the ideas when we were in college and after college about opening up an American Indian restaurant.
We got ribs coming?
Ribs and a bowl of green chili stew.
It's been exciting to see the reaction from people coming in, just the excitement about it that they have, and then their excitement about our crew here and the food. I mean, that was the whole goal, is just to feed them good food, because as you know, food is a big part of who we are as a community and as a culture, and so that's something that we wanted to create a voice for on a larger scale to kind of the general population.
A larger scale? How about the Food Network? This episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives aired in 2011.
Fry bread is a bomb with the chicken that's been marinated, and they're completely off the hook.
I hear Guy Fieri is still raving about Tocabe's food.
Indian tacos was something that, even if you're a non-native, a lot of people have a familiarity with fry bread or have had Indian tacos. And so that was our idea to start with and then expand on that idea. Our bison ribs are probably our most popular item, That has a 10-spice dry rub. We make our own bison stock, so then we sear them, slow roast them over 2 hours in our own bison stock.
We slow braise them in the oven, and then when they're ready, we keep them hot, and then when they're ready to order, we put them on the grill, add our blueberry barbecue sauce, and then we just caramelize the top, and it becomes really nice.
Just that one? You can do one other if you like. Sour cream and ancho chipotle? Either?
Ben and Matt are poised to make an even bigger statement in the restaurant business. They recently opened up their second Tocabe, just in time for Denver March.
Definitely the word about the new location in the business community is getting out. We served a lot of new customers today, so that's huge. I mean, if we could, all the customers we serve today, if we could bring them in again and then secure that they like our food, it's going to be a great year.
The guys are pretty humble about the big news they're making in Indian country. Native cuisine is catching on and they're riding the wave they created. But they'll tell you quickly, it all comes down to good food and the way it brings folks together.
That's one of my favorite things when people say, this makes me think of my grandma, this makes me think of my aunt's backyard, you know, like those are the things that are important, and I like that food can, and our food can take people back to those memories that are important to us.
Be sure and stop in at one of the Tocabe locations the next time you're in the Denver area. Have some bison ribs, a big old Indian taco, and be sure and tell them that the folks from Cheyenne and Arapahoe TV sent you. That's all we have for this episode of Indian Road here from Denver, Colorado. I hope. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.